Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another Historical Humans Reacts. And on today's episode, we've got some great news coming out of Turkey, where archaeologists unearthed the first archaeological evidence about Anatolia's mysterious Kaska community, the sworn enemies of the Hittites.
Yeah. So I'm gonna jump in with a little context because I know the Hittites halfway decently. Way back in the Bronze Age, there was three big civilizations that dominated the Eastern Mediterranean: ancient Egypt, the um, Minoans and Mycenaeans of Greece, and the Hittites of Anatolia, which is where Turkey is now. Now, the Hittites had a major problem. A good number of their kings record these people that they refer to as the Kaska just coming up out of the woodwork, burning their cities down, and then disappearing for, I believe, a good couple hundred years. And they would just show up whenever the Hittites were having a bad time from somewhere else and rob them for everything they could carry on. Uh, the Hittites particularly hated them for their practice of raiding the temples, because, fun fact, the Hittites and the Kaskas did not share a religion, and so they had no qualms about burning each other's holy sites to the ground.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
And
The mysterious thing about the Kaska, though, is we've never found where they lived. The Hittites were not good at finding them, so they have very poor directions as to the Kaska lands. And that's what this article, I believe, is on, right, Justin? Is that we think we finally found a Kaska settlement?
yes, which in excavations conducted by Zonguldak Bülent Ecevit University, which I butchered the hell out of that. I apologize to any of my Turkey
Yeah.
viewers, but archaeologists from that university have found evidence of the Kaska in an ancient late Bronze Age site that was located in a cave, um, which is in northern Turkey. And yeah, they just talk a little bit more about the Kaska, known as the Kaskins, Gaksa, or Kaskia. And they were people who inhabited remote valleys on the northern border of the Hittite kingdom and the Black Sea. And they didn't construct any cities, which is why it's been so difficult to find evidence of them. They didn't have any written language, so nothing was preserved or saved. They were only known by the Hittite accounts, which portrayed them as pig farmers and linen weavers.
Yeah. Yeah. These people are semi-nomadic clothes makers and pig farmers.
It ain't
They
much, but
just
it's honest
wander
work.
around with pigs and occasionally beat you up because you have nice things in their neighborhood.
uh, and one of the reasons why this is so interesting is because the Hittites came into conflict with them a lot.
Yeah.
And what happened was the Casca would use the mountainous environment in the heavily forested area along the coast to outsmart the formidable civilization. The holy
Yeah.
Hittite city of Nerik and Zalpa were overrun by the Casca, who migrated down from the mountains. And even despite all this, there's still very little known.
Yeah.
So, whatever
Because
reason, the pig farmers came out from their mountain little homesteads, raided two of the holiest cities in the Hittite kingdom, and
yeah.
just returned back.
Yeah. Because the thing with the Kaskas, they were not interested in empire building or territorial gains. They did not want to rule Zalpa. They just wanted to burn it and take all its nice things home with them. We don't really know what motivated them to come out of the mountains in the first place. Most likely, it was a time of weakness for the Hittites, who were well known to constantly go to war with Egypt over control of what is now effectively Israel and Palestine. Um, as both empires deemed it as their buffer state.
And it's very interesting because Inonu Cave, which is where this takes place, is home to some of the oldest settlements in this part of Turkey, dating back to 6,500 years ago as a part of the Chalcolithic Age. And it's very interesting because there are 5 different habitation layers in this cave, which show different areas, and one of them had items that were related to the Hittites, which is partially why they believe that this may be evidence of a Kaskian settlement, is because what they discovered in there was a blade that is identical to one that was found in the Hittite city of Sapanuva, and a steel and stamps, a steel seal stamp. Oh my God, that's a tongue twister. A seal stamp that resembles Hittite designs was found, and they basically found evidence of habitation. They found bits of metal, clay, bone, platforms. They found storage or living areas like a living floor.
Yeah, effectively, what they found is a bunch of Hittite made objects that have not been left in places or arrangements or contexts that the Hittites would have left them in naturally, which indicates that this is a different culture from the Hittites using Hittite things. And who do we know that would have lived somewhere in the region at about this time that was not Hittite but liked Hittite objects?
And
Oh,
given
look, it's the Kaska. They're riding down the hill. They're riding down the hill into the White City. Oh, they're here to burn it.
and that's where a lot of the basis of this study comes from. We're obviously going to have to try and find more definitive evidence and proof, but it is in the region that they were known to historically have occupied. They have historically been known to raid the Hittite cities and steal objects like this, and to find it in what looks to be more of a home or home type setting versus, in an altar or in the cities where they would have originated, tends to lead the researchers to believe that this is evidence of their settlement. And one of the things that I think is very interesting, and they kind of talk about but kind of don't, is just how useful caves are. That is like human home 101. For as long as we have existed as a species, we have always gone, hey, that cave looks nice and dry from here, and there's a good vantage point.
Yeah, the same thing that makes it good for, human habitation, the absolute lack of wind and rain, also means that anything humans leave in there doesn't get disturbed or decayed as easily because there is no wind and rain to tug it down the land or fray it and age it and you know effectively weather it into non-existence.
And that's also interesting too because there's 5 different habitation layers, meaning that throughout time, at least on 5 separate occasions, someone has been walking by and gone, hey, I'm gonna go live up there for at least a little bit.
Yeah, and like these habitation layers, they continue on pretty a lot closer to modern times than what people might think, because habitation in this cave, like layer one, goes all the way back to 6,500, uh, what, BC or 6,500 years ago. I lost the
I believe it
exact
is
date there,
BC.
unfortunately. Um, but 6,500 years. This layer, yeah, 6,500 years ago. This layer dates from 1650 to 1200, and it is only the third layer, meaning that there are 2 more distinct periods of habitation after this. And this is only 3,200 years ago. This is, you know, this, this is younger than the pyramids.
Always a bad reference, but yes, that it is. It's very interesting
But
to
like,
see how things evolve and how it adjusts and changes. And
yeah, just the general point is just like, we think cave dwelling stopped.
no,
A lot of times in the popular imagination, we think cave dwelling stopped the second people started building monuments anywhere.
Yeah,
Like,
no, it
no,
continued on a
no,
long
it
time
keeps
after.
going. It did not stop. And that's the point, that people were living in caves centuries after the pyramids were built.
I mean, hell, just look at Petra and Jordan.
Yeah. Yeah, that's nearby. Yep.
But anyways, that's kind of an interesting topic, and we talk about these lost civilizations a lot. And this is one example where it may just have been a lack of research in the area that is starting to lead us to find more information. And I would be very curious to see what eventually does come of this in the next few years if they, because what I would imagine they would do from here is they would scour other nearby cave systems to try and find other additional evidence, because usually you live in some sort of micropod or um, arrangement where familial units would live within fairly close proximity, if not together.
Yeah, effectively a network of communities. The village does not exist in total isolation from the other village. This habitation would not exist in total isolation from other habitations. If it did, the Kaska would never be able to amass the numbers needed to go raiding on the Hittites.
It's just Uncle Joe and Billy running down the hill screaming.
Oh yeah, imagine that the Hittites made up the entire civilization because the guy from God of War and his antsy teenage son came down from the hill and wiped them out, and they were too embarrassed to say anything.
Kratos and boy.
Yeah.
Anyways, we're rambling on here. If you enjoyed, let us know down below, and we will see you guys in the next video. Peace.